Hello. So I'm just going to go over what we're going over this week in our final week for our Introduction to Mindfulness course called Befriending Ourselves. And this week we are going over feeling tones, the undertones of our experiences. Oftentimes we think that it is our experience, but actually the experience and the feeling tone are quite separate. But we will apply meaning to them and therefore apply this meaning of bad or wrong to the experience when really it's just our feeling tone. So it's like liking vanilla over chocolate or chocolate over vanilla. It's not wrong or right, it just is what it is. It doesn't make vanilla wrong or chocolate wrong. It's just how you feel about either of the two. And someone else might feel differently, and we can, for the most part, easily understand that, right? Or maybe sometimes some of us don't, but more so as a joke, right? It's not our limited belief around chocolate is wrong or vanilla is wrong. But we will do this in our day-to-day. So an experience that I like to talk to about a lot in my life is the experience of earthquakes. So I've been traumatized by earthquakes. I had a really traumatizing experience growing up of one. And so this is a little bit on the extreme side, but it's what I've been able to really decouple the unpleasant experience, the feeling tone of it, from the actual experience of the earthquake. So nobody likes earthquakes, right? Except for my brother. I think he actually does like earthquakes. But for the most part, earthquakes are scary, and that's totally understandable, and most people feel that way. I know you can see the little tail back there. That's Louie. So there's a moment where I was taken out of present moment awareness, distracted. So our feeling tones, we can couple them with the experience, and I did so with earthquakes. The limited beliefs around earthquakes, for me, was that they're wrong. And the way I relate to earthquakes is wrong. When really, the feeling of something being unpleasant, pleasant, or neutral is not really of our choice. It sort of happens automatically. An experience happens, and then we feel about it, right? And we don't really get that choice. But when we apply present moment awareness and notice, then we have a choice of how to proceed skillfully to what we're feeling. Now, that doesn't mean the feeling changes. It might, but it also might not, and that's okay. Oftentimes, when we apply those limited beliefs of something being wrong or having that sort of aversion to it, that it's bad, that's called resistance. And it's the resistance that creates more suffering and more beliefs, or like affirming the belief that it's wrong, right? Because it just doesn't feel good. So it just goes against every being of our body, right? And so for me, I was able to, with a lot of work, a lot of mindfulness, with facilitators on my own, was a lot about decoupling the part of myself that feels unpleasant about it, the part of myself that's resisting the unpleasant feelings, and letting that part of myself rest. So instead of talking about it more, why don't we all try it together? So if you're sitting, adjust so that you can sit comfortably. If you're standing or you're walking, that's okay. You could probably still do this with us. If you can close your eyes, great. Again, if you're walking, don't close your eyes. And just try to bring some mindful awareness to your body. Scanning your body. Notice any areas of tension, any unpleasant sensations like tension or discomfort. Might be in the shoulders, might be something in the background. You might sense feelings related to tiredness, and if no unpleasant feelings are there, maybe you can sense some neutral feelings. And then whatever it is that you're noticing, breathe into that space, bringing full awareness to that area of your body. And then notice if anything changes. If anything shifts. Perhaps a sense of softening, or nothing. That's okay too. We're just taking some time to notice. And as you notice the attitude that's here that you are putting towards the feeling, the sensation. Is it kind? Maybe you notice some resistance here. And then you can start to take some deeper breaths. Notice the sensations of your feet touching the ground, or your seat touching the surface below. And then come on back into your space. So there might be tension in your body, and then there's the unpleasant feelings. They are not the same, but they are both there. Mindfulness invites us to see things as they really are. When we couple it in our head, it's the belief, and that's most of the time not true. So it's been brought into a formula. Suffering equals pain times resistance. And in Buddhism, it's been explained as second arrows. So imagine getting hit by an arrow, like a dart. That would hurt, right? It's like pain. Pain is here. Then imagine getting hit by a second arrow. That's more pain. And it's like 10 times the amount of pain if you got hit in the same exact spot, right? It's raw, it's like open, it's not healed, it's injured. And then you get hit again. That would hurt like 10 times more. So looking at the function, the equation, suffering, difficulty, equals pain times resistance. Pain is the experience, resistance is the undertone, the feeling of unpleasant, right? Or sorry, pain is unpleasant, of course, but then there's that resistance, the belief of that it's wrong and bad to have pain or to feel unpleasant. And so let's apply some quantitative measurements to each of those words. Suffering equals pain. Let's say pain was 10. And then resistance is 10. So 10 times 10 equals 100. Pain is not something we have a choice over. It is how our body receives an experience. If we got shot with an arrow, it would be painful. So that could still be 10. And then let's say resistance was 1. Well, now suffering is 10. Not as bad. The suffering of the painful experience would be 1/10 of the equation before. Let's say resistance was 0. You do the math. And so it's not like a goal or something to get to. It's just noticing the options and the possibilities. And yeah, that's basically what we went over. Of course, doing some more loving kindness, which the practice of loving kindness gives us the space to work with resistance, to work with the pain, give space to the pain that is here. Because again, we don't have a choice. I mean, the way we were born, the way we grew up, our society, today's environments, we don't have a choice how we feel about any given moment. But what we do have a choice over is how we work with it, how we relate to it, and how we give space to that experience so that we can skillfully proceed. And that's why I show up to practice, to just be with myself. So on that note, I hope that you will join me in the next round of Introduction to Mindfulness. And with that, we are doing a day-long retreat for it this coming Sunday. And by day long, I mean 6 hours. It'll be an online silent retreat. And that can sound like a mountain, but it's actually a gift to yourself if you can give it. So if you're interested, DM me. Otherwise, enjoy your day and perhaps notice as you go about your day, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral.